Tennessee's governor making time for state lawmakers to focus on school vouchers.
So why now?
But there's a twist. He's mixing in illegal immigration and Helene recovery.
There's no quid pro quo.
The controversial call for a special session.
Hit again and again with no help from Metro leaders. The change now promised to this Nashville business owner after Fox 17 got involved.
Plus, a step toward peace, the impact a ceasefire in Gaza is having here in the mid-state.
A final farewell from President Biden, his message as we look to the future. Fox 17 News at 9 starts now.
Middle Tennessee's only primetime news. This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
To try to cram it down with other issues in 3 days is ridiculous.
He is absolutely wrong. That or he's intentionally misrepresenting.
Covering the Capitol tonight, state lawmakers at odds this evening over Governor Bill Lee's call for a special legislative session to push forward his school voucher bill.
Well, Democrats outraged because it also includes Hurricane Helene aid and immigration. Fox 17 News' Karen Aguilar joining us live from the state capitol with reaction from both sides of this unusual move. Karen.
Megan, Scott, Tennessee lawmakers, specifically Democrats, are opposed to school vouchers, and they say it's unethical to include Hurricane Helene aid with vouchers. Supporters of school choice, however, say those aren't tied together. In an anticipated move, Governor Bill Lee announces a special session to pass the Education Freedom Act. The legislation would allow 20,000 Tennessee students to go to private schools on taxpayer money. Representative Vincent Dixie is one of the many Democrats who are upset the session would include Hurricane Helene relief and illegal immigration.
That he's tying them together and it just doesn't pass the smell test.
But Senator Jack Johnson, the co-sponsor of the bill, disputes those concerns.
That's a complete misrepresentation of what we're doing. We're talking about individual pieces of legislation. They're not tied together.
When it comes to Hurricane Helene aid, Representative Dixie says it could put pressure on East Tennessee lawmakers to pass vouchers to get more relief money.
There's no quid pro quo. You can support hurricane relief for Upper East Tennesseans whose homes were devastated, and if you want to oppose empowering parents to pick better educational alternatives for the kids, you can do that.
The people in East Tennessee, they've been needing help for months, so why now?
Johnson countered by saying the state gave East Tennessee $100 million as a part of the HEAL program. He sees this special session as an opportunity to do more. But Democrats don't buy that. They say the governor had ample time to address Helene.
It just seems unethical.
As for immigration, the governor's office says there will be safety measures to help with the Trump administration's call to crack down on illegal immigration, but didn't go into detail. The special session will begin on the 27th. We will continue our coverage on this as things develop. Reporting live in front of the Capitol, Karen Aguilar, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, we, of course, want to know what you think. Do you think the legislature will finally pass school vouchers? 144 people weighing in on this tonight. 51.4% of respondents say no. 48.6% say yes. This poll live right now, so there's still time to cast your vote. Just scan the QR code right there on your screen. It will take you over to our X page where you can weigh in, and we'll show you updated poll results here a little later in the newscast.
Also at the Capitol, State Representative Gino Bulso of Brentwood is sponsoring a bill to make it harder for illegal migrants to send money out of the country. It would essentially require the senders to provide banks a government ID, a proof of citizenship. Now, this bill also calls for migrants who have children in Tennessee public schools to pay tuition and fees similar to what school districts charge now when a child attends school from another county.
Fox 17 News laying out the key issues that you will see in the General Assembly this year. You can see a breakdown of those bills at fox17.com. Just search session.
Right now, a live look at the White House in Washington between us as President Biden addresses the nation for the final time at the Oval Office.
Fox 17 News national correspondent Kayla Gaskins with his final farewell.
In a 17-minute farewell speech addressing the nation, Joe Biden notably spent more time warning about what's to come than talking about his accomplishments after spending more than 5 decades in Washington.
My fellow Americans,
President Joe Biden had hoped to spend another 4 years in the White House, but Donald Trump moves back in on Monday.
I wish the incoming administration success because I want America to succeed.
The well wishes sent with strong warnings attached and heavy criticism of Trump's incoming administration.
Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms.
Trump has tapped at least 13 billionaires to serve in government roles, including Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy. Trump writing on Truth Social during Biden's remarks that his hires are, quote, outstanding in every way, and you will see the fruits of their labor over the coming years. According to Biden, Americans should also worry about what he calls the rise of the tech industrial complex.
Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation, enabling the abuse of power. Social media is giving up on fact-checking.
Biden referring to Meta's announcement last week that it's ending fact-checking on its platforms. Its CEO saying they were veering into censorship.
Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship.
Biden began his address briefly touting his administration's accomplishments, especially on the economy.
It will take time to feel the full impact of all we've done together. But the seeds are planted, and they'll grow and they'll bloom for decades to come.
Voters in November did not agree with Biden's take, and neither do Republican lawmakers.
I think it's completely false. I mean, you look at the economy currently, Oklahoma families are paying over $800 more per month.
Biden is leaving office with approval ratings at the lowest level of his presidency, at just 36%, according to a new CNN poll. 61% of Americans say they see Biden's presidency overall as a failure. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
We have Code Red meteorologist Brett Luna in for Katie tonight, watching the weather for us. Totally different story than last week. We're coasting a little bit.
We are coasting, and I think these next few days are going to be kind of nice. They're going to be a little bit warmer. We'll get a rain chance this weekend, but then just get ready for it because some very cold air is set to move in early next week. We may even get a couple of these Arctic blasts of cold air as we head on the next week. One at the start of the week and then one at the end of the week. I'll have more details on that coming up a little bit later on in the show. Here's what radar is showing us right now. Still painting a very calm and quiet picture here across Tennessee. It's also dry up into Kentucky as well. It is cold tonight, though. We were colder today than what we had yesterday. We're going to warm up nicely, though, for tomorrow. Temperatures right now, we're in the 20s. 22 in Lebanon, 23 Murfreesboro. Same goes for McMinnville. Here in Nashville, we're a few degrees below freezing. 29 right here in Nashville, 26 the current temperature up there in Clarksville. So 29 right here in Nashville, mostly clear. We're going to stay that way through the rest of tonight. No bad weather at all that you're going to have to worry about tonight. But if you have any plans for whatever reason, late this Wednesday night, just bundle up for it because it's going to be chilly for you. Waking up and heading out early tomorrow morning, off to a cool start, but we will warm up a lot better. Mostly sunny skies throughout tomorrow too, so that sunshine is going to help things out a little bit too. I think we should be back in the lower 40s by about 9 o'clock, but some very cold air is on the way. We could be talking about temperatures in the single digits, barely in the double digits early next week. I'm going to have more on that. That's going to be the big story for us as we head on into next week. So more details coming up on that. I'll show you when that cold air finally moves in, how long it sticks around, and just how cold it's going to get. All those details coming up.
Brett, thank you. Also ahead, a step toward peace, what a ceasefire in Gaza means to Nashville's Jewish community.
147 emails, at least proof of 18 accidents. You would think that if your business was an accident site in Nashville for that long, something would happen. So far, nothing. That story coming up next.
New tonight, Israel and Hamas agree to a ceasefire and a hostage deal just days before the transition of power here in the U.S. After months of negotiations, the two sides agreed to pause fighting and release the hostages in stages. Those hostages were kidnapped during a surprise overnight terror attack on October the 7th, 2023. The agreement will last for 6 weeks, could start on Sunday. Almost 36 hostages are set to be released in phase 1.
Well, the news of a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas leading to plenty of reaction here in the mid-state. Some people in our Jewish community were directly impacted by the violence and the hostage situation. Joining us now is Mark Friedman, interim CEO of the Jewish Federation of Greater Nashville. Mark, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Megan. Nice to be here.
Well, break down the impact of the war and what you're seeing here locally.
Well, first of all, we have to realize that the impact has gone on now for over 15 months, so it's felt every day. We have many people in our Jewish community with strong connections to Israel, people who lived there previously who are now here, parents who have children serving in the IDF as lone soldiers, and we have people who have very few degrees of separation from knowing someone, a soldier who has fallen in the war, or they know someone who is connected to the hostages, so the impact is significant.
Well, Mark, what is the feeling in the Jewish community tonight with the news of the ceasefire?
Well, I would have to sum it up in 3 words. 1, we welcome the agreement at this point, but we are, of course, greatly relieved that there will be a respite and the prospect of hostages returning home. But also, on the other side of this, we are somewhat not so optimistic that Hamas will be able to hold to this agreement, and we'll see it completely fulfilled on their side.
And that brings me to the next question. What do you think the future is for Gaza?
Well, I can't speak to the long-term solution. That's going to be up to the international community to figure out what to do with Gaza and how it's going to be governed going forward. I think from the standpoint of the Jewish community, we just want to make sure that there won't be any more terrorist incursions into Israel as there were on October 7th. And we really don't have great confidence in that because there have been leaders in Hamas who have said, if they could do October 7th over and over again, they would continue to take the same pattern of attacking Israel and trying to wipe it off the map.
We know this truly impacts so many people in our community. Mark Friedman with the Jewish Federation of Greater Nashville. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Megan.
An update now on a Fox 17 News investigation into a problem dating back nearly 20 years. Cars crashed through a local business's fence at least 18 times in that span. But the city has been refusing to do anything about it. That is until the business owner called us. Tonight, how Fox 17 News' Dennis Ferrier is getting action.
A long straightaway on Elm Hill Pike curves to the left. For some reason, cars and trucks don't always follow that curve. Since 2007, Gate 2 of Richard & Richards has been a target, knocked down more than 20 times.
We've had so many accidents here.
Steve Richards is a very smart businessman, so every time it happens, he takes pictures and videos and marks the date. It's become a second career for Steve, accident photographer, because 18 years later, still no relief.
You can reduce the speed limit. You can do all sorts of traffic slowing down things to make it difficult for somebody. And they also will not put up a guardrail. They have a great idea that if we put up a guardrail, it's going to be a loss of life. Well, I'm not sure what you're talking about there. I've understood that a car can go straight into the end of a guardrail, but there are also end butts that stop someone from impaling their car into a guardrail, but none of that has been proposed.
However, after we emailed NDOT, we were told there will be a guardrail installed in front of Gate 2 at Elm Hill Pike. Why the delay? NDOT says, quote, although we have deemed the guardrail warranted, we have a priority list of projects that we complete based on funding. This location is not on Nashville's Vision Zero High Injury Network, meaning that this location is not where a high incidence of serious injury and fatal crashes are occurring. We are currently working with contractors to determine reasonable schedules for guardrail repair and installation and should have a firm date at a later time, unquote.
Well, after 147 emails, talking from the mayor's office, the NES, to the city council, to National Department of Transportation, and getting nowhere, it seems that one news report on Channel 17 had a crew out on the side of our road surveying it within 24 hours of this broadcast. So what's happening? We're waiting to see what happens.
You can't blame Steve Richards for being skeptical. 18 years and 147 emails will make you numb to promises We're not going away on this one, I can promise you that. I'm Dennis Ferrier, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well-deserved warm-up on the way. Might not last long, though.
No, and I think it's only going to be a few days warm-up. So get out there and enjoy it while you can. In the back end of this warm-up, we're going to be met with some rain showers, too. I'll show you that here in just a second. But no severe weather in the forecast for this weekend. That is at least some good news for us. However, the cold air is going to be right on the heels of that front that's going to move in and bring us some rain showers, too. All of that here in just a second for you. Current temperatures, I was just showing this map, too, but just want to show you. It's cold right now, and we have mostly clear skies. We're going to stay mostly clear, too, through the rest of tonight, and that's going to make things get even a little bit colder. I think we're still going to drop down a few degrees from what our current temperatures are showing right there on that map. As far as radar goes, really not seeing much activity going on here. It is all dry for us. So Kentucky, dry right now. Tennessee, it is dry too. And that's how we're going to stay for the next couple of days. Don't really anticipate much of any sort of rain chance. The snow chance is going to be staying to the north of us too. That rain chance to the south of us. This is Thursday morning, Friday morning now. We are all dry on Friday morning. Late Friday though, things start to change up for us a little bit. We start to bring in a better chance for a few rain showers Friday. This will be late Friday on into early Saturday. And I think that's when we're going to get the bulk of this rainfall that moves in again late Friday night on into Saturday morning. The good news with that though, no severe weather expected. This is the noon picture right here. Some showers still lining up here along the plateau. That front's going to move in. That's going to bring in some slightly colder air for the later part of Saturday. That could transition a little bit of that rainfall over to snowfall here along the plateau. Still expecting little to no accumulation though. I don't think that's going to cause you any sort of issues as you head on into Saturday. On Sunday, maybe just a little bit of a few light snow flurries moving in. This model has actually even backed off of that now too. So maybe a few snow flurries on Sunday, really not going to cause you any issues then either. So that's nothing to worry about. Moving on into Monday, some very cold air is going to have settled in. Right now, this particular model is still keeping us dry throughout the day on Sunday and on Tuesday. There are a couple of models though that do bring in a little bit more moisture, and combine that with that very cold air that's going to be in place, that could lead to some winter weather. Still several days out from that though. There is another system that's going to be moving through a little bit later on next week, and I think right now at least it looks like there's a slightly better chance for some winter weather with that system. This is the cold air that I'm talking about though. This is going to be some Arctic air that's moving in. This is Sunday 5 p.m. right here. Frigid air across a lot of the country. That's going to work its way down here into the southern part of the U.S. too. So just frigid air going to stick around with us as we head on into Monday. That's going to stay in place for Tuesday as well. So Monday and Tuesday going to be very cold days. Wednesday we might just get a little bit of a relief with temperatures maybe back into the 30s or so. And then on the heels of that, Thursday and Friday, another round of very cold air is going to be settling in across Tennessee and Kentucky. For tonight, 29 degrees. But again, I think these temperatures are actually going to go a little bit lower with those clear skies. So I'll probably drop that down for Nashville, maybe about to 26 or so. Southwesterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then as we head on into the next couple of days, temperatures on Thursday, tomorrow morning, we started out in the mid 30s. We start out pretty cool. Then we warm up nicely to about 50 tomorrow afternoon. We're going to stay that way for Friday as well. I'll have that 7-day forecast and show you some of those temperatures that you can be looking at next week coming up here in a little bit.
Using lasers to track vehicles and people in Nashville, the improvements that this project is supposed to lead to.
And a beef over a new East Bank home for TPAC. The additional improvements TPAC says it never agreed to pay for. In the Capitol, Governor Lee says state flags will be raised all the way to the top for President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration.
Well, the flags have been lowered to half-staff since the passing of former President Jimmy Carter. Governor Lee's executive order will impact the state capitol and all state buildings from 11 a.m. January 20th until sunrise January 21st. Flags will then return back to half-staff until January 29th as the nation continues to mourn former President Carter.
In your community, a rift between the city of Nashville and leaders at the Tennessee Performing Arts Center over a new East Bank auditorium. The beef is over who would pay for infrastructure costs for a new home for TPAC near the new Titan Stadium. TPAC says that Metro wants it to pay for things like a pedestrian bridge and a bike ramp that they never agreed to. TPAC says planning delays already have cost it $14 million and it's now considering other sites. Metro says talks are ongoing and that they are hoping for a resolution that's good for both sides.
Tracking the way you move with lasers, the improvements this program is designed to bring to Nashville.
And honoring the best of the Predators' best, a trio of Preds now in the club's Hall of Fame.
How can this technology help with more cars coming to town? Middle Tennessee's growing, Nashville's a growing area.
Yeah, ultimately, safety is our number one priority, but also efficiency.
New tonight, some big money, big money coming to Nashville from Washington to help improve safety and to ease congestion.
Metro will get 2 grants for LIDAR, which is laser radar that tracks cars and people. Fox 17 News' Johnny Maffey digging into this new grant.
After hearing from city and federal leaders today, they say they're prioritizing both safety and trying to ease traffic congestion because, well, none of us like traffic. And yes, they already started being implemented here on Clarksville Pike. You can see the white box up there. The LIDAR is right there. These LIDAR devices use lasers and radar to map out buses, cars, and people so officials can then gather data to prevent accidents and improve flow.
Technology and innovation is a huge part of our work at NDOT.
Phase 1 already implemented where Clarksville Pike meets 26th Ave North by the new North Nashville Transit Center. U.S. Department of Transportation Chief Science Officer Dr. Robert Hampshire on hand today. Why Nashville?
Nashville, I think, is a combination. I think the leadership here really articulated a vision for transportation.
That work actually informed improvements to safety that have come since. New signals, a mid-block pedestrian hybrid beacon.
Mayor Freddie O'Connell says the LIDARs in place led to a 30% decrease in high-speed driving. Phase 2 will start to focus on Nolensville Pike, both grants totaling around $12 million. Nashville's DOT director says the tech will help Nashville's new Choose How You Move transit plan by communicating with the 600 upgraded traffic lights.
That's going to allow for us to really prioritize transit throughout the whole city, as well as also prioritize how we move people in cars in a safe way, but also efficiently.
Romaine Clue has been commuting from Clarksville to Nashville for years.
Just coming in every day consistently, you always can actually run into a big pileup. You just never can plan your day, and I just really wish we can have some change.
Not just the approach to Nashville, but once he gets into the city, things clog up even more.
Of course, anything will help. Of course, taking initiative to try to do something to start, that's very important.
This technology does not read license plates or people's faces. I also asked the U.S. DOT's Chief Science Director how Nashville can maybe learn from other cities when it comes to improving traffic congestion. And one thing he says is there's 120 grants like this across the country, and data can be collected from their new ideas even. And WeGo CEO tells me that these implementations can be next seen within the next year or so on Nolensville Pike. In Nashville, Johnny Maffey, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
New tonight, the American Muslim Advisory Council, located in South Nashville, is praising law enforcement and the U.S. Attorney's Office for arresting a suspect they say threatened mass violence against a local mosque. But local leaders fear this may be a sign of things to come.
When there is public rhetoric, especially coming from top officials in our government against our communities, yes, we do expect that, more people might be acting on these kind of, ideas.
Local Muslim leaders tonight urging members of their community to be vigilant, on the lookout, and if they see something, to report it both to police and to the council.
Looking ahead to Saturday, when a women's march is planned in a number of cities, including Nashville. The march designed to highlight issues facing women, including access to reproductive health care. Tonight, community members gathered in Nashville to prepare. They say this is about more than just one issue.
A lot of people need to know that they have community right now. They have other people that they can turn to.
Organizers say the march is also focusing on immigration and other community concerns.
And it's going to be a warmer day for us tomorrow. I think tomorrow is actually looking pretty good. We're going to get some good sunshine, and we'll warm to the lower 50s tomorrow. Average high temperature this time of year, 49. So a couple of degrees above that here in Nashville with highs in the lower 50s. Tomorrow we're dry. And then Friday, things start to change up a little bit. We'll have a system moving through. This will be late Friday. We'll get a better chance for some of those showers. The best chance for rain is going to be overnight Friday into Saturday morning. Then the later part of Saturday afternoon, I think a lot of that will have cleared on out of here. Maybe a couple of flurries on the plateau though. Sunday still looks pretty dry. And then as of right now, I'm going to go with dry conditions for Monday and Tuesday as well. That could change the closer we get, but as of right now, we'll keep it dry. So fairly warm for the next few days. Temperatures actually a little bit above normal, and then a huge drop off in our temperatures down to the mid-20s for our highs Monday and Tuesday. We'll have overnight low temperatures in the single digits for some areas just barely staying in the double digits. And then this is the following week. This will put us to about the end of January, the 23rd to the 29th. We're still looking at a better chance for below normal temperatures in Tennessee and Kentucky.
Staying golden, the three Pred stars who are now members of the club's inaugural Hall of Fame class.
And ending remote work on the federal level, why Republicans say working from home policies are costing us.
Special honor today for three special members of the Nashville Predators franchise as they are inducted into the club's very first Hall of Fame.
Fox 17 Sports Director Jill Jelnick has more on the newest members of the Preds Golden Hall.
The Nashville Predators are considered one of the more younger franchises, having been founded in 1997, and now, a quarter of a century later, they begin their own Hall of Fame class, one that's made up with three of the most instrumental figures of all time: David Poile, Pekka Rinne, and Shea Weber.
It's hard to believe. I mean, this whole year's been hectic, and I'm in shock with all of it, but it's an honor.
The Preds drafted Shea Weber in 2003, and the British Columbia native would go on to be one of the most decorated defensemen in franchise history, ranking 4th in goals, 5th in assists, and 3rd in games played.
Especially to be going in with those two guys. That David's obviously the one that drafted me and brought me here and gave me a chance, and then Pex and I came over at the same time and started in Milwaukee together and played many years here together. So it's a special group, and yeah, it's a true honor, and still kind of in disbelief with all of it.
As for his old teammate, Pekka Rinne, the legendary goaltender grew up in a small town in Finland and never dreamed that one day his hockey career would lead to a statue outside Bridgestone Arena. After retiring just 3 years ago, the Vezina Trophy winner says he still holds that same passion for the sport and is grateful for what Smashville has given him.
Oh, this is so cool. I mean, especially this time I get to share this with Shea and David, and I think both of those guys had such a huge impact on my career and as a player. And you know, David obviously giving me an opportunity, and he was the GM of throughout my career, and for him to trust me like that and gave me the opportunity to change my life.
Both Weber and Rinne know that they would never have made it to Smashville if it wasn't for their former general manager, David Poile. Poile would go on to become the winningest GM in NHL history, and under his leadership, the Preds reached the playoffs 15 times.
As you all know, this was always my dream job. I always wanted to be a general manager. And in 1997, I had an opportunity to go to an established team, and I chose Nashville. It's so fitting to go in with Pekka and Shea, two guys that, you know, you talk about defining moments in your franchise. When you have defining moments, you have defining players, and these two guys were the defining players.
The celebration will continue on Thursday night when the Preds play host to the Chicago Blackhawks. During their pregame festivities, the Preds will unveil their new Golden Hall display, which fans will be able to check out in one of the concourses of Bridgestone Arena. Jill Jelnick, Fox 17 Sports, your Code Red station.
We're actually going to warm up as we head on towards the weekend, but then some Arctic air is going to be moving our way. I'll have the details on when it gets here and just how cold it's going to get coming up for you after the break.
Getting tough on telework. I'm Christine Frizzau on Capitol Hill, where the party in charge says government employees should no longer be allowed to work from home, but they're planning ahead.
That was a dumb. Working around the wall, the creative crossing causing concern tonight.
Covering the Capitol, the federal government spending $7 billion a year for office space in the D.C. area that largely goes unused.
But as Fox 17 News' Christine Frizzau shows us, that may change in the near future as House Republicans push to end work-from-home options. And you can let us know what you think by scanning the QR code that you will see on screen during our story.
The lights are on, but everyone is at home.
That's the takeaway from the House Oversight Committee investigation into the federal workforce in Washington, where pandemic-era policies regarding remote work remain largely unchanged. A government accountability report from last year calling federal buildings underutilized, finding 17 of 24 federal agencies used an estimated 25% or less of the capacity of their headquarters buildings.
Taxpayer money is being wasted to lease and maintain all that expensive, empty office space.
President-elect Donald Trump has already made clear bringing federal workers back to the office is a priority. In a House Oversight Committee hearing on Capitol Hill, Republicans citing the ripple effect empty offices have had on the D.C. economy and poor job performance by government employees.
We're waiting 6 months to get responses from the IRS. We're waiting. Social Security is just continuation of continuation of continuation.
The former head of the Social Security Administration, Martin O'Malley, disputing that assessment and defending his decision to sign a deal with the American Federation of Government Employees to keep the agency's telework plan in place through October 2029.
Social Security today is struggling to serve more customers than ever, and we all knew they were coming. More customers than ever, with staffing that Congress has reduced to a 50-year low.
The bottom line is many workers got used to being able to coach their kids' sports teams and save money on gas and parking while getting their work done in the comfort of their own homes, with warnings that taking that away could mean some of the best workers will find jobs in the private sector, where remote work is still an option.
Telework has long been a powerful tool for the federal government to hire, recruit, and retain the best employees.
A preview of a fight already heating up in Washington that could impact the city's landscape for years to come. I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
During that story, we had a QR code on screen linking you with a poll that asked if you think federal employees should be required to work in the office. Here are the results. A little over 200 people weighing in, and 3 out of 4, 75%, little better, say, I think they should be at the office. Our thanks to all who voted.
Well, in the border crisis, take a look at this. U.S. Border Patrol discovering this handmade tunnel from a storm drain in El Paso, Texas, leading to Mexico. Agents say that tunnel is about 4 feet wide and 6 feet high. It's supported with wooden beams. It has electricity and a ventilation system. A border agent says they've seen hundreds of tunnels, most attached to some kind of U.S. infrastructure. Largely work of large criminal operations, these tunnels are a big business.
Money that goes on their weapons, ammo. Once you've got a tunnel like that, whoever owns it, it becomes priceless. You're talking about sophisticated criminal organizations. Oh yes, this is definitely not a mom and pop operation at all. It's gone way beyond it.
Border Patrol agents say this particular tunnel appears to have been constructed in the past year.
All right, this is a night where it's a pretty good evening to be a weatherman. You've got good news to share.
Yeah, you know, finally calm weather and warmer weather on the way as we head in towards the weekend. So I think it's going to get to the low to mid 50s. So overall, not too bad. That's a little bit above normal for this time of year. But then we're going to be talking about another round of some very, very cold air moving in. And this is a map right here. These are the top 4 coldest temperatures, really the top 5, but we had a tie 7 degrees on January the 20th and January 16th. But these are the coldest temperatures that we had last winter. So the 2023-2024 winter, and some of these temperatures were very cold. I don't know if you remember it or not, but -1, that was the overnight low temperature January 17th. We had the snowfall January 14th and 15th, and then just a couple of days after that, another round of cold air moved in. So -1, that was our temperature on the 17th of last January. This January, it's another cold one for us. We're going to see a couple of rounds of Arctic air move in as we head on in the next week. And then even the following week, I think we're still looking at below normal temperatures here across Middle Tennessee and southern Kentucky. Current temperatures right now, they're in the lower 20s to the upper 20s for most areas. Still some areas holding on to the low to mid 30s. We're at 29 right here in Nashville, 26 in Clarksville, Murfreesboro coming in at 25. So not terrible, but things are going to get colder as we head on into next week. Radar not showing anything right here for us. We are all dry. We have some showers way to the south of us, a few snow showers way to the north of us, but we're kind of right in the middle of that. No bad weather for you as you head into the overnight hours tonight or for tomorrow. Future Track still keeping us all dry as we go through the rest of tonight. This is Thursday morning, 7 a.m. We're going to be off to a dry start Thursday morning. Same goes for Friday morning. We start things out dry on Friday morning. By late Friday, probably about 8 o'clock or so, I think some showers should start to move into the Tennessee River. That's going to move a little bit further east. The best rain chance is going to be Friday night into Saturday morning. This is 7 a.m. Saturday morning. A lot of the heavier rainfall has already cleared on out of here. So by 7 a.m. Saturday, could still see a few straggling showers. This is the noon picture. I think the best chance is going to be on the plateau. The cold front's going to move through. A little bit of cold air behind that cold front could transition a little bit of that moisture over to some snowfall around the plateau. Still not expecting much as far as any sort of accumulation goes. So I don't think you're going to have to worry about any of those issues for Saturday. Maybe a couple of flurries flying on Sunday. That's also not going to cause you any issues either. Monday and Tuesday, we know for sure those are going to be two very cold days. However, still a little bit of uncertainty on how much moisture we get moving up here in the Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. As of right now, this model is still painting a dry picture for us on Monday and Tuesday. So we'll just leave out a snow chance as we head on into Monday and Tuesday, at least for right now. That could definitely change the closer we get to that. And then a second round is going to move through a little bit later on into next week. And I think that round may give us a little bit better chance for some wintry weather here in Tennessee and Kentucky. The main story, though, we'll say right now is just this cold air that's going to be moving in Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We're going to be talking about very cold air. Here's your 7-day forecast showing you some of these high temperatures next week. We'll only be in the mid-20s for highs Monday and Tuesday, so we could stay at or below freezing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, just barely go above freezing on Wednesday. Overnight low temperatures here in Nashville barely staying in the double digits.
Targeting tobacco, what federal regulators are suggesting to make tobacco products less addictive.
And most people don't volunteer or to go to prison, of course, but singer Jelly Roll did just that. In Operation Crime and Justice, investigators in Rutherford County charging a woman with reckless burning. They say Tiffany Johnson is responsible for a fire that burned part of a manufactured home on Ocala Road in Murfreesboro late last night. Crews say the residents had no power or water.
In health news tonight, the Food and Drug Administration is proposing some new regulations to make tobacco products less addictive. The agency wants to require manufacturers to lower nicotine levels to get this 0.7 milligrams, a pretty small amount. Now, that would apply to cigarettes, tobacco, most cigars, roll your own tobacco, all of these things. It would not, however, apply to vaping products, nicotine pouches, premium cigars. The FDA says the new lower amount might be enough to prevent addictions.
Country star Jelly Roll going back to prison voluntarily, though. Who the star took with him?
Take a look at this. Country stars Jelly Roll and Lainey Wilson give inmates at the Riverbend Maximum Security Prison out in West Nashville a private concert. At one point, Jelly Roll left the stage to get down, get up and close and personal with about 300 inmates who were on the other side of a fence. Now, he sang along with the #1 hit out there, I'm Not Okay. You probably heard that on the radio. Jelly Roll very open about his troubled past, which includes several stints in Metro's Juvenile Detention Center. The State Department of Corrections very happy about this, thanking Jelly Roll and Lainey for their work to support second chances.
Looking ahead to a Jam-packed weekend of sports right here on Fox 17. First up on Friday night, we've got men's college basketball. Indiana taking on Ohio State. Tip-off for that game starts at 7.
Then on Saturday, more men's college basketball. We've got Creighton taking on UConn at 11. Then it's Xavier and Marquette in the early afternoon game. Tip-off for that one is at 1. And then on Saturday night, all the business. NFL playoff action on Fox 17. Don't miss the Washington Commanders taking on the Detroit Lions, top seed in all of this. It's an NFC divisional matchup. That game will kick off at 7.
And rounding out the weekend, we've got a women's basketball game. Iowa State battling it out against West Virginia. That is Sunday at noon right here on Fox 17.
The Supreme Court set to decide the fate of TikTok at any moment. I'm Atrell Nashar with what we're learning about TikTok's reported plans if it's banned in the U.S. coming up.
It is a tiny breakthrough device which vascular surgeons use to help save your life. I'm Liz Bonus. We're going to tell you about it and just who it might help just ahead.